Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 77. I'm Adam.
Andrew.
And I'm Brian.
As usual, before we get into our game of the week this week, we want to invite you over to our website, meeplesonmeeples.com, as well as our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, Twitter, Pinterest, basically all the social media sites. Follow along with us there and see what we've been playing.
This week's game of the week is Sushi Go. It is a card drafting game. The entire game consists of one large deck of cards. And card drafting basically means you start with a hand, and it's in a two-player game. Each player gets 10 cards, 3 players. Each person starts with 9, 4, 8. In a 5-player game, you get 7 cards. So you have a hand of, let's say, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you look at your hand in secret, and you can pick one card to keep. So you put it face down in front of you because you don't want anybody to know what you're taking quite yet because they're all secretly choosing a card too. Everybody passes the pile to the left to the next player, and you wait until everybody's ready. When everybody's ready, you say reveal. You flip up what you've kept. You pick up the new hand that was passed to you. You look, you put a card face down, and you keep one card each time until it goes all the way around. Finally, at some point, you're going to get just one card passed to you you have to keep, and that is your hand for the round. Basically, it's all obviously sushi themed, and none of us eat sushi, so we're going to pronounce it to the best of our ability. We apologize if we butcher this. But there are cards such as maki rolls, and they have a special rule where whoever has the most at the end of that hand gets 6 points. The player who has the second most gets 3 points. If they have any, so maybe no other players went for maki rolls. Anybody else went for maki rolls who has less than those two people gets 0 points, so they wasted their time taking those cards.
And you count them based on the maki rolls that are at the top. Some will have 1, this one has 2.
And then there's up to 3, yep.
Up to 3, yep.
I think that's what it is, yep. Sashimi. If you're going for sashimi, taking a card is great, but you don't score sashimi, it says, until you have 3. Once you have 3 cards, it's worth 10 points. So the payoff can be really large, because that's over 3 points per card. And in this game, that's a lot, but you need 3, otherwise you get 0 points for it. Tempura, you need 2. For every 2, you get 5 points. Dumplings are kind of interesting because they stack on top of each other. If you have 1 dumpling, it's worth 1 point. If you have 2 dumplings, they're worth 3 points at the end of the hand. 3 is 6, 10, 15. So the more you can get, the significantly bumps your score, but it's hard to get that many in one. How many can there possibly be going around at a time? Then there's the nigiri. They're worth 1, 2, or 3, I believe. Yeah. There's wasabi that says the next nigiri you take, you put on top of this, you dip it in there, and that wasabi makes it worth 3 times the points. So this 2 could potentially become a 6. The 3 would become a 9. You get the idea. And then there's 2 special rule cards, and I'll let you do the chopsticks if you like.
So chopsticks, okay, say you have your hand has 7 cards going around, and chopsticks is one of the options. You pick it, you put it down. When everybody reveals, you reveal it just like everybody else. The bonus of chopsticks, though, is sometime later on in that same round, when you get a hand, you see 2 cards you like in it, you pick one, you put it down, you put the deck to the side here, and then just as everybody's about to reveal their cards, you say, Sushi Go. You put the chopsticks in the deck you're passing, and you take that second card you want. So you get 2 cards on one hand. So the benefit is, you at some point you can maybe get 2 really good cards in the hand instead of having to make the choice of taking 1 and then hoping it maybe comes around to you again later on.
And then the other special rule would be pudding. Pudding does not score at the end of the hand. It's played over 3 rounds, so 3 hands. You score at the end of one hand, 2, and then 3, and then you add up the highest score wins. And then at the end of the game, there's that one bonus for pudding. Whoever has the most pudding cards at the end of the entire game, all 3 rounds, gets 6 points tossed onto their score. Whoever has the least amount, 0 or whatever, who has the least amount of pudding or 0, gets negative 6 points. So it can be kind of a game changer at the end.
Yeah, it's that little extra bonus to maybe push you over.
And that's kind of it. There are a few other cards we don't have out here, but you kind of get the idea. You add up all your points for the hand, you write that down, and then you go on to round 2, 3, and like I said, at the end of 3 rounds, highest score takes it.
Alright, let's talk about strategy. First and foremost, I watch the table because you want to make sure you're not trying to double up and take things that other people are getting because you're going to get 0 points.
Especially the sashimi. When you need 3 of them,
right.
It's not going to be a lot of chances where there's more than 3 in play usually.
Yeah, and if 3 people are going for it, forget about it. Don't take any more sashimi because there's no way there's going to be 9 cards for you all to get 3 in score.
Another good one for that is the maki rolls. If you're let's say there's a lot of maki rolls in play. You want to make sure that, again, not everybody at the table is going for them. Otherwise, you may be one of those people that's completely left out in the cold. You collected 3 cards, but they only had 1 maki roll each on them. that's not going to do a whole lot of good.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, make sure you're grabbing the right Maki roll. I've had some hands that have 4 Maki roll cards. Make sure you look at the top to see how many points it's worth.
Yeah, I've done that too where I had like 1, 1, 2. And I was like, well, I have more cards than you. And they're like, no, it's how many are at the top. I was like, oh.
Yeah, if you forget that rule, that can be a game changer as well. Another strategy I'm going to throw out there is the chopsticks. Use them a little bit earlier on, because when that last card comes to you, that's like, okay, everybody gets that last card. That is the last card of your hand. And if somebody passed you a chopstick because they threw it in at the last minute or it came around to you, it is worth 0 points. It is literally only good for taking 2 cards on a turn. So when it comes to you and you're stuck with it, it does not score at the end of the round. You don't want it.
And I found at least my strategy is to usually take it and use it early if I see it's available, because you have more cards to choose from, obviously. So you're obviously going to have your best choice early on in the game. Get it, use it quick, and then pass it on to somebody else.
Or if you have held on to it, make sure that you wait. You can kind of wait till kind of the end. So if there's 5 players and there's only like 3 cards left, that's a good time to use it, because it's not going to come all the way back, and I'm not going to get stuck with it again. That's the worst if you get hit with your own chopstick again.
I've also used it as my last play. I may get 2 cards that I don't love, but at least I can stick that other person with chopsticks. And then pudding, obviously, you just want to make sure over all 3 rounds who's getting the pudding. If there's somebody that's really stocking up on it and you're never going to catch them, you just want to make sure that the rest of the players aren't getting ahead of you too.
Right.
You want to get somewhere in the middle of the pack.
One person has less than you. That's all that matters. That you don't get the -6.
Right. And I have done it with the pudding too, and done well is you just ignore the pudding completely and really try to build up something else too, so you don't get that -6.
Yeah,
that's true, because you could be grabbing.
You can counter.
You could be grabbing dumplings, and get 3 of those while somebody's grabbing 3 puddings, and this might give them 6 points at the end of the game, but those 3 dumplings got you 6 points too. Like they score immediately that round, and these don't score until the very end of the game. You have to kind of sit on these before they do anything.
But other than that, I think Andrew's right as he let it off. It's really watching the table and just keeping track of what everybody else is grabbing, and that it's not going to conflict with what you're hoping to score on.
And the best strategy is just bring your own deck, keep it under the table, and cheat.
Yeah. All right, let's talk likes and dislikes. Being a card game, one thing that I think obviously they need to focus on is card quality, and the card quality in here doesn't disappoint. It's that kind of the high-end, playing cards. Mm-hmm. It's the plastic coated, kind of
they call it the linen finish.
Yeah, I mean you may want to sleeve these, but these aren't ones that are going to break apart, I think, that quickly.
And this is known from our reviews, I am a sleever. I love to sleeve my cards. They won't fit back in the tin. So
is that the reason?
Plus, it's the big. You would spend more on sleeves than the game's worth.
Just buy a second deck.
Yeah. So,
and the fact that it comes in a metal tin. I mean, it could have been a cardboard box.
Yeah, I mean it's got a little separator in there even to hold them nicely.
Very small and compact. It's great for taking anywhere. For taking a game night, camping on vacation with you, throw in your backpack.
I like one thing is that it comes with the rule book, obviously, and it looks like it's actually kind of thick for this kind of game as far as how small it is. But you don't really need it. The rules are on the card, and they're very straightforward. I mean, you can read the card and say, okay, I need 3 sashimi to get 10 points. Wasabi makes the next nigiri worth 3 times what it would normally be. Like it's just everything's on the cards. I don't think we've ever looked at the rule book. And they'd probably
I did when I first bought it, so I could explain the gist to you. But beyond that, you don't have to look at it again.
It's all right there, right in front of you.
And to kind of piggyback on how it's easy to teach, I played it with my kids, and they get it. After obviously my 14-year-old son, he's plenty old to get it. My 12-year-old daughter, who doesn't play a lot of board games, it clicked with her, and of course she loves the artwork and yelling "Sushi Go." And I believe I have played this one with my 8-year-old daughter, and with a little bit of help, she got it too.
Yeah,
pretty quick.
It says 8+ on the box. I think that's probably about right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep track of everything that's going on the table and what the multiplication rules and everything on the cards
And
go.
you just mentioned the artwork, and I like the artwork.
I love the artwork.
It's simple. I mean, when you look at it, it's easy to tell what's out there. It's pretty color-coded almost.
Yeah, this is it.
But
none of the pictures
cluttered.
look too much alike, and they all have different colored backgrounds. So I mean, there's no way you'd mistake the pictures or the cards for one another.
And if I remember, yeah, the nigiri are all different too. Like they look like you got the squid, you got the salmon. It's not the nigiri are not all the same. So they even went so far as to make them look different on the card.
And they're the only ones that share the same background, but that's because they're the same type of card that you can dip in the wasabi.
Yeah.
So they kind of let you know that these cards play with each other because they're yellow or whatever.
But it's a good kind of fun, family-friendly art style too. Yeah. Any downsides to the game? I mean,
I guess a minor nitpick. It's a lighter game. It's very, I guess, entry level. But to me that's a positive because I can play it with my kids. I can play it with my in-laws when they come over. So I would say that low level of entry and that fast playing time is a bonus. But I know some people, like Pat, really likes big heavy games.
Yeah.
But for your general population, I think it's good to have games like this in your collection, depending on who comes over to play.
I'm going to throw this out there, and I don't know if it's a negative or not, but I feel like there's a lot, especially recently, of these kind of really easy card games. Is it maybe an area that's getting too congested right now? I mean, they all seem to be coming out around the same time. You got Love Letter, you got this, you got Bad Beats, you've got...
Coup. We have played a lot recently.
This one plays quite a bit different than like Love Letter and Bad Beats, though, just in terms of you have a lot more cards.
Yeah, people like that card drafting mechanic, which is or mechanism, which is kind of cool. That it's an interesting take on. I'm not stuck with this hand.
And I wasn't saying that it is necessarily negative. I was just wondering whether this is maybe getting too many at the same time.
Well, I've bought a lot of close together when I realized that I had too many big games that never got played, and I just see that these little $10 to $15 games, you get so much bang for your buck, and we play them so much, and they're so portable that these are kind of my go-to thing now. So that's why we play so many close together. I've just been buying a lot.
As cheap and as small as it is, buy an extra one and throw it in your glove compartment.
Yeah, if you're in a game night and you guys, not enough people show up or you need kind of a filler game, you can just go pop it out and use it.
But I don't have many dislikes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. No. I mean, I really enjoy the game, and it accomplishes what it set out to do.
And the benefit is it's one of those that you can get almost anywhere now. I mean, Target sells it. It's a very accessible game for that lighter crowd.
Alright, it's finally time for our reviews. 1, garbage, feed it to the dog. 10, go out, buy it for your best friend. Really, I'm going to give it a 9. Overall, for being that it is a light game, I mean, it's not super in-depth, but everything about it plays super easy, it's fun, you can play it 2 times in a row, play it a couple weeks in a row, you're not tired of it. The quality of everything is awesome. So I'm solid 9 just because of the game that it is.
Okay. I agree, it is a great game, and again, at that price point, I'm going to give it a 7.5. And that 7.5 is, again, that's very good on our scale, don't get me wrong, but it's because, as Adam mentioned, I've bought a lot of small box, card-based, fast-playing, filler-type games in the last, 6 months to a year or whatever. And having played a lot of them so close together, I mean, this is about on par with Machikoro, but I'd rather play Love Letter. I think I'd rather play Bad Beats. Coup is up there. So it is very good, but I have a lot of games that can play in the same amount of time using just cards, and so there's a lot of competition in my personal collection. So for me, this is better than some of those, don't get me wrong, but I do have cheap, small box card games that I would play before I played this. So that's why I'd go with the 7.5.
I'm going to drop right in the middle with you guys. I'm on it at an 8 on this. A lot of the same reasons you guys have given. It's got a great art style, great quality components. It plays a good number of people, 2 to 5. It's, I think, very accessible, for the lighter gamer and even the hardcore gamer as a nice filler game in the middle. You could break it out at family functions, though, I think. It's a lot of fun. It goes at an 8 for me just because some of the same reasons you said. I would rather play Love Letter. I'd probably rather play, what was the last one? Bad Beats.
Bad Beats, yeah.
Those are maybe a little bit higher for me, but it's still a solid game. I don't have a lot of nitpicks for it, so I have to give it an 8. And I think that's our review of Sushi Go. As usual, check back next week and see what we've been playing.